Something that's really been intriguing me is the fact that we might be a little over reliant on AI sometimes. I say this specifically because at work, we've kind of created this culture of just going straight to AI for anything that we need. And that might not be the worst thing in the world. There are definitely things that AI can help with cutting down on. So a lot of the grunt work, or maybe even just getting started. But recently, what's been happening is if we need to create some kind of documentation, or if we need to add or if we need to add some documentation, or if we need to write a white paper or an article, essentially what's happening is we'll start out with bullet points and we'll feed it into an LLM, right? We'll get a massive output back. It's for the most part, it's really wordy, and adds to that word inflation thing that I was talking about. But either way, it gives you an article that other people can read. But what's really interesting is people take that article and then they put it back into LLM Suite, right, as a reader, and then they summarize it down to bullet points. And the annoying part of this is when I was in middle school, the first thing that they taught you was to write for the intended audience. And if the intended audience in this case are people that don't necessarily have a lot of time, or they want concise bullet points, why not just publish the bullet points? And the more I got to thinking about it, it's like, well, okay, maybe people want the full articles here, and it gives you the option of, okay, you have the full article, and then if people don't really have the time or energy to read it, then they can put it into LLM Suite and put bullet points in. The weird thing is for the most part, everyone knows that they're starting out with bullet points, and essentially we're ending back at bullet points, but we're adding in this encoding and decoding through AI of really wordiness, really makes no sense kind of article here, and I'm really not sure what's going on. Um, Me personally, I think, being a pretty wordy, rambling person myself, I'm trying to be concise, and I use AI to definitely help read and perhaps even cut down on some things if it's something that I really want to be really good and something that I want to kind of be buttoned up before I send it out to people. But I certainly don't do that. I'm not in favor of using AI for the sake of you using AI, specifically um, for things like this. When I know that the writers are writing it, in bullet points first, why not just get those bullet points, right? Because the other thing that I think is going to happen is the more kind of use AI to expand on it, and then you use that expanded version to then ask AI to give me the smaller TLDR version. I feel like there might be a game of telephone where if you keep doing that in layers, you kind of lose the initial meaning behind it, and AI changes a little bit every time because it's not perfect and it's also non-deterministic, so it'll be a little bit random each time. So either way, it's nothing major, but it is bothering me, and it also makes me kind of wonder if people felt the same way when the internet itself came out, because now you didn't have to go to the library, you didn't have to go find the books or articles or newspapers or whatever. You could just go on the internet, search for whatever you need, and there you go, here's your information, right? And then you had this entire spiel of, okay, well, now you need to figure out what information is reliable versus what information is not reliable, and all of that fun stuff. So I almost wonder if there's something going to be with AI where it's like, how do you get reliable information, not reliable information, but also, you know, will we see AI content differently? And how are people going to integrate it in their lives without necessarily it making them too reliant on AI, right? At the end of the day, these are all just tools that help us do the things that we need to do. But if it becomes the only thing that we're doing, isn't that kind of scary? Right? The second I have a question, I go to AI. The second I want to do something, I go to AI. Would it not impact our own critical thinking? That is something that I'm a little bit afraid of. But I mean, to be fair, if this is where we're going, we'll go there as well.